Persona fans, and welcome back to Trinity Soul Tuesdays, the show where I cover an episode of Persona Trinity Soul every 2 weeks and encourage you all to watch along with me. When we last left off... Nope, totally not reopening those floodgates. Moving on. On today's episode, we've gotta get back to the past, cause this episode mostly takes place 10 years ago. We start out even further back than that, as we see Ayane on a helicopter with some of her father's scientists. This is the incident Akihiko told us about, where she was being transported to an investors meeting, but instead, she elects to kill herself by jumping out of the helicopter. Who's gonna be the one to tell the boss, 1, 2, 3, not it? So now we jump ahead, but still in the past, to a peaceful winter. We see young Shin with even younger Jun and Yuki. Trinity Soul babies, they'll make your dreams come true. The three children are running, and their dad, Hank Hill, even warns Shin to watch himself, but still...
That boy ain't right.
They get back to the house and see teenage Ryo, who is apparently back from school stuff. Yay! At the house, everything is as pristine as a Norman Rockwell painting. Ryo is applying for school out in Kyoto, and the family talks about visiting him, the kids play horsey, Eiko comes over for dinner, it's pristine and wholesome, and absolutely nothing bad could ever happen to change that. Later that night, when the kids are all tuckered out and the grown-ups are working on their picture book, Hank Hill is on the phone with Komatsubara, saying that they won't be coming back, and warns him there are certain lines he shouldn't cross, or else...
I'm gonna kick your ass!
Ryo comes in to give his parents some coffee, and Dad decides that tomorrow they need to have a family talk between the three of them, and asks him to make some time. So, the next day, Ryo and the folks sit down at the beach and get ready to have a long, serious conversation about their past, their old job, and what this means for the future. Hey, but wait, where are the kids? Oh, they're fine. Eiko is watching them at the amusement park that she wanted to go to alone with Ryo. It's all good. Hank and Mom, no, I did not look their names up before recording this, tell Ryo everything about how Ayane died and has been haunting their family, as well as all the horrible human experimentation they were involved with. They want to be able to make things right by turning themselves in and pressing charges against Komatsubara. While Eiko was buying a churro for Shin, she comes back and realizes he's gone. Luckily for her, Jun and Yuki are terrible liars, and they spill the beans that he ran off so he could bring Ryo here so she could spend time with him. But back at the beach, the seagulls are going nuts, and as if on cue, Ghost Girl Ayane shows up and is all like, "You killed me," and summons her crazy-looking persona, Aditi, not to be confused with Klyane's persona, Devi. And then, something happened at the beach that would kick off what some might call the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. I mean, if you're an overdramatic nutjob. The event from 10 years ago that sent so many people into sudden apathy syndrome, causing crashes, death, and destruction for miles and miles. Ryo rushes Shin into a clearly frantic emergency room where he runs into Eiko and tells him what happened to Jun and Yuki. We see a younger Komatsubara talking with Ryo, and while we basically already knew that Ryo signed the consent form to put part of Yuki's brain into Jun to save him, because otherwise they were both gonna die, it's really kinda creepy to see the scene as it actually played out. The way Komatsubara kinda manipulates Ryo into it, knowing he just wants to use the two for experimentation, is pretty intense. While Shin seems to be exhibiting something similar to apathy syndrome, but not quite. Man, what happened on that beach? There's also a quick scene of Ryo going to the police station to give his testimony about what happened. There's really not much of it since we don't see that specific part, but I still want to highlight it just because we do get to see Ito back when he was a regular cop, and I thought that was kinda cool. When Ryo gets back to the house, he finds Shin on the floor of the atelier having sculpted that, and finally says, that? What happened on that beach? While visiting Jun in the hospital, Ryo talks to Komatsubara about Shin, who suggests they use hypnotherapy to block out Shin's memories of what happened that day. The memories would stay locked away unless some kind of shock managed to reignite them, which is basically why Ryo spent the first half of the series telling Shin to leave town forever. But in order for Komatsubara to block out the memories, he needs to know more about what happened. So buckle up, folks at home, because we're about to learn what happened on that beach. After summoning Aditi and doing her whole "you killed me" thing, Ayane scoops up the Kanzado parents who are being brutally and painfully ripped inside out. As they're raised up into the air and the literal blood of his parents splashes down on Ryo's face, he hears the voice of Shin, who had just arrived. Ryo tries to stop Shin from seeing this, but it's too late, and Shin ends up awakening to his persona for the first time. Abel flies up and tries to free his parents from Aditi by stabbing this, cocoon thingy that spills grape Kool-Aid all over Ayane, and unfortunately does seem to kill his parents, but I'm still not sure if that was because of Abel or because of Aditi. Ayane, dazed and confused and not wanting to deal with this strange, powerful persona that had just foiled her plans, decides to be a sore loser and has Aditi explode into a blast of whale feathers that send all that negative energy out, and there you have it. That's what happened 10 years ago. Jun makes a full recovery and is discharged from the hospital. Shin is apparently all better thanks to Komatsubara's hypnotherapy, and they all make a trip to the airport because it's time for Shin and Jun to go live with their auntie who... Whoa, wait, is that their aunt? Jeez, can I come too? Ryo tells Shin that it's time to say goodbye, and then they goodbye out of there until 10 years later when the series properly starts. Back in the present, Shin is sitting on a couch, apparently all of these memories flooding back to him, while Ayane delivers more cryptic stuff about Shin's future and explodes into feathers. And that is where this episode ends. There's not a whole lot I can say about this episode. It was meant to answer the questions we may have had about the past, and it did a good job with it. I kinda like that it showed us the event and the aftermath of it before coming back to it to give us the actual details of what kickstarted it. I thought that was a really good way of telling the story. This episode showed us not only what happened, but used that information to explain things in the present that we may not have fully understood. So yeah, it worked. Those of you that are watching along at home, what did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all again in 2 weeks. But for now, so long. On the next episode of Trinity Soul Tuesdays.
Gentlemen, behold! Call